Hey guys, it's Kirk Short here with the Wichita Home Team at Keller Williams Signature Partners, and this is our next episode of Real Conversations with Kirk. And the topic of this episode is the value of a buyer's agent. And today I have got Jennifer Brown with me.
Hello.
She's been a longtime agent, both with my previous company that we were with. Her and her dad had worked with my father, and she became her own agent and joined my team here a couple years ago as a buyer's agent. So I thought, this would be sort of the best way for us to talk about this, have a real buyer's agent, share what they do and how they do. So I wanted to start it out to have Jennifer sort of talk about her and what type of history that she has in the real estate business, how long she's been doing it, transactions she's been involved in, why she got into the business, and then we'll kind of talk about what a buyer agent does.
All right. Sounds good. So I have been in real estate for, I think this is my 17th year.
Okay.
I right now work primarily with buyers. I really enjoy working with first-time home buyers. I think that I really like to educate people and walk them through this process because it is a difficult experience. It's probably the biggest purchase that most people will ever make in their life. And since I have so many years of experience, I know all of those things that people are going to need to know and that maybe gives them anxiety. And I know that sometimes your anxiety can stand in the way of what you want to get in your life. And if somebody's there to help you soothe those fears, I think that that's what I enjoy, is to help people in that way.
I like that. So how did you get in the business exactly?
I got in the business because my dad was a realtor, and he asked me to come help him kind of as a buyer's agent, but also just kind of as support. So then I kind of started working in the background, learning about the business that way rather than being out there in the field at first. So I think that really just gave me a lot of knowledge because I started out in 2002. The market was way different than it is now.
Yep.
So I have seen various different markets.
You've seen the upside, the downside. We're kind of back in and upside again.
Right.
Not quite where we were before, but doing very well. What do you feel is the true value of a buyer's agent, and how does that benefit somebody versus, let's say, maybe going to an individual that works totally with buyers and sellers? I mean, we're on a team, which is different, so we're able to separate roles a little bit. What do you think the benefit is? So
as a buyer agent, I can focus a lot of my time on getting out there in the field and showing listings. When you're doing both, if you don't have a team, I think that your time's spread pretty thin. And this way, while I'm working primarily with the buyers, as listing agents, I think you kind of get in that groove of working with sellers and you forget about what's important to the buyers. So I don't know. I think that it is very beneficial to work with a buyer's agent rather than calling around listing agents.
Right.
Because then you have somebody that's representing you and not just the best interest of their seller.
No, I agree with you. In the last episode, we were talking about sort of the team makeup and the value. There's unfortunately a lot of teams view buyer agents as being an easily replaced part of the team. They're a dime a dozen. I can just get them and move on. That's where they put the brand new agents. And I know that's real different from us. I value buyer agents because I think that they add a lot of value to the team and to the longevity of the success of a team. And, it's not just about trying to get new people on board that, are only first-time home buyers, because you can't keep people long-term. I think it's just a situation that when you have somebody who's had a lot of experience, like yourself especially, that's very unusual in this business. Most people don't realize the average agent has a lifespan of about 5 years. And that's just because they don't make it, can't make it. So, anybody lasting, especially 17 years, I mean, you and me have been in business almost the same amount of time. That's big. And it's like, if you went to a doctor, an attorney that was just out of school, do you want advice from somebody who's been around, seen a lot of things, had to work stuff out? There's value to negotiation. Even in a market like ours where it's really hot, you have to do a lot. Do you want to talk a little bit about, what you deal with negotiations and sort of like the pitfalls and some of the things that you see as a buyer's agent helping a buyer?
And I think some of that stuff just happens up front, educating your buyer. It depends what kind of loan are they using. If it's an FHA or VA loan, we know that the house is going to have requirements that it will need to meet for that appraisal. So it helps to address that stuff up front when you're going out and looking at certain properties. Some properties are just not going to go. If they're being sold as is, then it's best to address that up front and say, well, this might not be the property due to the type of loan that you're using. And some people just wouldn't know that, because a lot of times when people are trying to get into a house for less money, they end up looking at homes that are a lot cheaper, but they're a lot cheaper because they need repairs that the seller's not willing to do. Right. So it's good to get that education up front and really kind of understand what it is that you will be looking at. Yeah. And what price range that falls in. But then also there are issues with the home that maybe a new agent wouldn't even see. They don't understand electrical updates or foundation issues that I can usually go in there and pick it out and say, I know the inspector is going to call this out. So it's something that's worthwhile to address up front in an offer rather than waiting for an inspection. Right. And then it falls apart and you feel like you've wasted time or money.
Yeah. Yeah, something I've seen, because I deal primarily on my end with the selling side, is a lot of buyer agents that come and they're telling their clients up front, oh, we see some problems. Let's go wait till the inspection period. Let's go negotiate the offer up front, and then we'll hit them on inspections. And I find that to be, A, done in poor taste. B, that's actually not even technically supposed to be allowed, because when a buyer or a buyer's agent knows or sees of a problem, they now have knowledge of it. So if they're going to write a contract, they should address that up front. So I know as a listing agent, I appreciate it when agents come in and say, hey, we've seen the wood rot on these windows. We've seen some of the negative drainage. My client's okay with that. Here's our offer. We gave the offer because of these items. No problem. And if you don't have an experienced buyer agent, a lot of that can be missed. I mean, how many times have we had problems because, a seasoned agent could have seen, like you said, structural problems. And we saw the signs, so we call out up front, getting a structural engineer report or inspection done for foundation, and was even able to talk to the seller's agent in an educated manner about what we saw, so that things weren't a surprise if it actually came to an issue. I mean, I think that's big. Would you agree?
I do. And also, I do sometimes have buyers that if I feel like there's an issue with the foundation, that's not even a property that they do want to deal with. Yeah. So I would rather them know that I think this is questionable. Yeah. Rather than being surprised at an inspection. Yeah. So,
do you find a lot of situations where you're working with buyers, and of course they're hiring us for our experience and professionalism and all that, but they have family members that feel like they know more than the agent does, or the lender does or the parties, and they're giving this other advice that may be contrary to what we've known and what we've learned?
Yeah, I do see that. I always find that it's best if there are family members like that, just get them involved and bring them in, because I'm happy to talk to them too, and educate them as well. And if they feel like something I'm saying is wrong, I'd love to talk to them about it.
In other words, address it up front.
Exactly. So,
for those of you that are watching or looking to buy or listening here, I guess, because again, it's a podcast, even though we're recording it. I think part of what she's trying to say is having that communication with us when you're going through the buying process. If other people are going to be helping out with your decision process, that's a situation where you should absolutely let us know so that if we need to get them involved, we can.
right.
And if not, or if we think that their viewpoint may be coming from a different angle that's not really normal, we want to be able to address the what and give some reasons why. We don't dismiss anybody's opinions, because everybody's opinions come from some experience that they've had.
Right.
Good, bad, and different.
And it's always easier when you're in front of that person
Yeah.
to communicate those issues, because sometimes you're not even on the same page.
Yeah.
So it's good to get on the same page, realize what the concern is, and address it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So one of the things you had talked about earlier, which I know has a big impact on the buying side, is loans, types of loans,
Yep.
getting pre-approved. And I was hoping that you could sit there and talk a little bit further about, from an agent perspective, some of that, lenders, loans, that type of stuff. I know there's this whole big thing about, I'm going to go online and I'm going to get the best deal that I can, and then we're dealing with a lender that creates nothing but problems for us.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been your experience?
Well, I think for the most part, people don't necessarily understand what products are available. So when they see stuff online, they think that's all that's available.
Yeah.
So a lot of the programs online are typically 20% down, because that's your main conventional loan.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't understand, for the FHA loan, yeah, it's a lower down payment, but there are other things involved, as
Such
far
as?
as paying PMI, private mortgage insurance,
Okay.
which is a big thing. People try to avoid, and you can only avoid that by putting 20% down. And then on an FHA loan, now that lasts the life of the loan. So to get rid of that, you would have to refinance to a conventional loan. And I think all of that stuff can be confusing and overwhelming to especially first-time home buyers, because
Yeah.
these loans they're different. So
Yeah. We're going to have an episode that's going to be coming up here later with Michael Gonzalez, and he's with MTG Family Mortgage. Him and his wife are one of the sponsors of our show, him along with Adam Hamilton with Phoenix Mortgage Group. But we're going to have Mike coming on here, and we're going to get down to the nitty gritty later on the different types of loans and the benefits to buyers. But, let's say they don't come to us and want to, say, hey, I'm working with Mike or Adam. What do you feel is the value of a local lender versus a non-local lender in most cases?
Well, yeah, like I was saying, obviously loans can be kind of complicated, and
Yeah.
knowing what product you're getting can be complicated. But I think it's especially complicated when you're online
Yeah.
reading, or these people, you're never going to sit in the office with them and talk to them and know what your options are. Where a local lender, you can go sit down with them. They can explain the options. If you have questions, it's easier when you're face-to-face really to get those addressed.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and the other thing, again, because I tend to work on the seller side, there's lenders that are looked upon positively in our marketplace, and there's lenders that aren't. And when you work with a seasoned pro, they tend to work with lenders that are positively looked upon. And, as a listing agent, if I've got offers in front of me and for example, I see one from a Michael Gonzalez or, an institution like that, say a Ameritrust Credit Union or, Fidelity Bank, I know that they've gone through the work to put together that loan package right. I know I can get on the phone as the listing agent, look out for my seller, and ask the right questions and get the right answers back.
Right.
And online, you can't do that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have a misperception of loans that they're all created equal, and they aren't.
Right.
We've had people, and they get down to it when they look at the fees and they look at what they're actually paying to get a rate because they came in and thought the rate was better. It really wasn't, because they're paying for it. So they could have had the local service and been taken care of better, and sometimes less fees, getting as good of a rate, maybe even better at the end of the day if they were willing to spend that kind of money. So definitely, come and watch the next episode when we talk about mortgage financing and all that, because I think that's going to be a really good one for people to listen to. Call this a tales from the trenches type of side of the story. Going back and thinking through a lot of the transactions you've been in, what would you say has been one of your toughest situations, either dealing with a client or dealing with sort of the property and listing agent and maybe their client, that you think would be good for people to hear about?
That's difficult.
I know.
Trying to think of one.
We have lots of those. In some way, some form or fashion, it seems like.
We have things that are difficult, that's for sure. But as far as things coming up, I think we do a very good job of making sure we address things soon enough that it doesn't become a problem. So, most recently, it doesn't seem like there's been
that many.
As many. There's the ones that stick out just because, hey, we are always learning new things. It's always a learning experience. No deal is the same. Yeah. That's for sure. And no property's the same. Right. So
our inventory always changes, and except when they're, I guess, a repeat seller or a repeat buyer, some of that stuff can be similar. Okay, we've had a lot of that.
But there's definitely different things that can come up, like a rural property that's going to have some different things and some different lender requirements. Sometimes a lender will require that we have a septic or lagoon inspection, and sometimes they won't. So it's always good to go ahead and write that into the offer. Let's just go ahead and get it done because the lender may require it.
Right.
So,
what's your ideal client?
Ideal client, cash buyer.
No, we all like cash. Even as a selling agent, I like cash. I mean, that's like generally a clean deal.
I enjoy working with first-time home buyers. I think it's just gratifying, maybe to me, to be with those people when they, the first time they're going through it. Usually young family, and they're getting their first home, and that's so exciting. So I think that as far as, for my own self-gratification, I love to see that.
Home ownership is a great thing. I think good agents, that's why they're in the business. Some agents are purely in it for the money. Mm-hmm. And, me and Jennifer have been around each other since we were both really small. Yep. And so when both of us being second generation realtors and all that, I don't know, I think we look at it a little bit differently than other agents that have been in this business for, coming from, I guess you could say, other lines of work, and they're here just purely for the dollars. It can be a profitable business for us, but I think for us, and this is why I like working with you, is it's not all about the money. It's about the whole thing. It's an experience. For us, it's a career. It's not a job. And I think that's good for people to sit there and listen to and find the realtors that they work with, and knowing that for them it's truly a career and they've got a passion to help people and educate them. I find that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I find that when you're working with a a buyer or a seller, you don't have to sell. It's not about selling. It's about education and assistance.
Right.
Especially for a first-time home buyer, this is generally their largest single investment or purchase they will ever make. There's always exceptions to the rule, but their home is always usually the most expensive, and so it's like that's a big responsibility for us. And so I think it's great when people take that portion of it sincerely and don't just attach a dollar sign to that individual.
Right. And I think it's about our measure of success as well. We don't measure it by a dollar sign. It is by those client reviews.
Yeah.
And those testimonials is our measure of success for ourselves.
So we want reviews, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So for all of you that are listening, if you've done business with us, we appreciate the reviews. We would love to sit there and see them on Facebook and Zillow and Realtor.com and Google, because it's a sign to the people that we do well. Likewise, we want people to know that we're always open to being better agents. Not everything goes perfect. Not everything is perceived as being the right way. And I think we're always striving to help our clients in a better manner. Would you agree?
I do.
I know Jack has got some questions. Jack?
Yeah, I do. All right. So if everybody makes sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, they'll see every time we start shooting a podcast, we'll put out a post. And if you want to be featured on one of our podcasts with one of your questions, make sure to follow us and keep up to date with all of our posts and leave a comment if you have any questions. Today's question comes from Jay Dill from Facebook. He says, and I imagine this is because both of you have been working in real estate for so long. What keeps you passionate about real estate after being in the business for so long? How do you keep it engaging?
That's loaded.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
That's a great question.
Thanks.
And Jay, since I know you, say hello to Gronk and your lovely wife, Becca. So how do you answer that?
Well, I think we kind of touched on this, that no deal's ever the same.
Yeah.
I mean, it is different every day for us. So, and we're not going to the office and sitting at the office for those from 9 to 5 or whatever. Yeah. We're out in the field showing houses, meeting new people constantly. So it's always fun and exciting.
I think the thing that makes this business exciting for me is, both of us, I've been in over 20 years. You're going to be coming on 20 years here in just a couple years. It's amazing the friends that we gain out of doing these transactions. You meet families, you meet and get to know generations of families. You see people grow, right? They buy their first home, and then we see them a few years later. Now they say, I've outgrown my home. I've got my kids. You're seeing the kids. You're seeing the dogs. You're seeing, the transitions. And for me, that's really cool when you have those types of situations. And, when people are walking down the street or, they're going online and they're just talking about, how much their new home means to them or, how it's changed them. That's what's most gratifying for me. And that's why I stay in this business. I've tried different things, and I just don't have much of a passion for other stuff. I love doing this. I love this interaction. And I don't know. That's what's exciting. You agree?
I do. It is exciting.
I like that. So for the rest of you, we want more questions. So just like Jack had sat there and mentioned, make sure you get on Facebook and Instagram and throw out some additional questions for us. We put it out. If you like our business page and subscribe to what we do, subscribe to us on YouTube, you'll be aware of when things happen more often. So remember, I'm the Wichita home team. here with Keller Williams, and you can find us that way on Facebook, and you can search for us for Wichita Home Team on YouTube and find us there, and at Wichita Home Team on Instagram. With all that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening in during this episode, and our team would love to sit there and work with you for all your real estate needs. So as always, I want you guys to remember to achieve your dream, use the Wichita Home Team, and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye, guys.